this episode was to give you a little intel of what a lot of kids are doing these days, and more importantly, what they think or how they feel with the way things are functioning at their house.
Parenthood is challenging enough as it is, and getting organized sounds easier said than done. Now, combine these two together, and it's truly a balancing act that many of us struggle with day in, day out. If you're here, it's because you want to know how to get your life and home more organized and structured where the kids are involved too, so that parent life is a little easier and you can focus on what truly matters. Hey there, I'm Diane Jimenez, owner and founder of One Tidy Place. I created this podcast because I know parents have their hands full. I know this because I have 3 kids of my own. Each week, we'll talk about all things organizing, teaching kids life skills, and contributing to the home, being on the same page with your partner, and raising your kids together while you tidy up, go out for a walk, or just need some real talk. I'm here for you. Thank you for tuning in. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the Organized-ish Parent Podcast. In today's episode, actually today's topic is something that I've been wanting to put out there to you guys for quite some time now, and only recently I had done a kind of like a poll in the classroom. So let me back up. First off, for those of you who don't know, and some of you do know because I do mention it, I've mentioned in other podcast episodes, and if you're inside my private Facebook group for moms, it's the Time Freedom for Mompreneurs Facebook group. Anyways, I go there live every week on a Wednesday, and we talk about all stuff relating to organizing, mindset, tips and tricks on how to get kids to listen and how to create systems for your home. And also I give like a behind the scenes of what I do at my house and that works and stuff like that. And sometimes I mentioned like what I'm doing at school with the kids and stuff. Now, in case you didn't know, I do work part-time at my kids' school that's not too far away. And the reason how I got into this position was back during the pandemic when it started. It was a really tough time, and when all the kids were coming back to school that September 2020, I got a call from the daycare supervisor if I was able to do the lunch supervising, because a lot of the staff had left because, we were all scared. Especially was at the time it was affecting a lot of the older population, right? And I think also the younger population too, like babies and stuff. So it was a lot of uncertain times. So naturally, with uncertain times, uncertainty, people tend to just do their own thing and recoil or just, save themselves. And that's totally fine. So what happened was at the school, a lot of the older staff, daycare staff members and lunch supervisor staff, they left. So it got her to calling me and a few other parents to work at the school. Now, I thought I'd be only doing this for like a year or something, but it just so happens that I love kids. I enjoy being with the children, whatever age. I started with the kindergarteners and I moved up to grade 5, which terrified me because I was like, I don't know anything about these, 10, 11-year-olds. And to me, they seemed crazy. Even though at the time, I had a kid in grade 6. But I understood my kid. I can deal with my kid, no problem. It was just other people's children. That was, especially that age, it was terrifying to me. Also, if you didn't know, I used to teach gymnastics, but it was mostly like for younger kids and like toddlers and stuff. So that was okay. And back in the day when I used to do cheerleading, I also taught teenagers, but cheerleading is fun. So it's a little different because the girls want to be there and they want to be on this team. So, it's different from dealing with kids who want to be there and they're motivated to be there from a group of kids who have to be there, like at school. Some of them love being there and they want to be there, and other people just, they don't want to. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anyhow, going back to the poll that I had done recently. It was based on the class that I have right now, but I've been observing a lot over the years, several years now. I've been dealing with grade 3, 4, 5 kids, talking with them, listening to them a lot, getting their input about stuff at home, what they do. And because I'm there during lunchtime, I get to see what they're eating. And I don't know about other lunch monitors, but I go in there and I look around to make sure what people are eating, if they're eating properly, and if they're eating everything, right? And there's no sharing happening just because of allergies and stuff. So with that, I ask questions. Like any curious person wants to know who made your lunch, especially when you start seeing like patterns of like, oh, it's the same lunch, it's the same lunch, it's the same lunch. And I get that. Coming from a person in high school, I used to always eat the same sandwich every single day because that's what my parents would buy. Okay, it was mock chicken or bologna on white bread and I think mayonnaise if I felt like pudding, and no vegetables or anything like that. There was none of the fancy lunches that people have these days. So, yeah. But, I ask questions. Who made your lunch today? What do you have today? Who helped you? Do you help put things away? How does it work at home? Kind of like a little intel, if you will. So I think basically this episode was to give you a little intel of what a lot of kids are doing these days, and more importantly, what they think or how they feel with the way things are functioning at their house. Now, this episode is, you can call it more of like the observation from what I'm seeing at school, and perhaps it might help you like spark an idea in you to maybe look at your own situation at your home and see whether or not it's comparable or you need to step it up or maybe you need to let things go a little bit. Yeah. So I hope this episode is going to be helpful for you and to give you some sort of perspective about your situation at your house and how you can make it a little bit better into that path of getting them to be a little bit more self-sufficient, more responsible, and eventually reclaiming back your time, right? So first things first, what did I ask the kids? I did a poll and I said, how many of you guys lift up your hand if you help prepare your lunch at home every day? So we got half and half of the room raising their hand. Then I was like, okay, how many of you are the only ones preparing your lunch at school? Just you. Your parents are not helping you. Your grandparents aren't helping you. Nothing. How many? I got half and half, and I got different, like some people just raising their hands all the time. So the observation I got from that was that parents do help, but kids also help. And my conclusion was they are capable of making their lunches. Now, I understand if you're a parent and you're like, I'm afraid of what my kid's going to put in the lunch bag. That is very true. It's very valid because I've had conversations like that with some of the kids, not this year, in previous years. And I would ask them, how come you don't help out at home, right? And they would say, well, my parents don't trust me in making my lunch. They don't trust what I'm going to put in the lunch. And then I found that really interesting because I was like, why is that? Why do they not trust you? Oh, they think I'm going to put junk in my lunch. Like, what is that? What kind of junk are you talking about? Oh, candies and this and that. So it got me further to asking, well, maybe no, I didn't ask them like what's in their pantries or anything like that, but maybe this is something, if you are a parent that is nervous about letting go of that task of making lunches, ask yourself, how better can you support your child with this task? What kind of support can you provide for them? If you're more on the nervous side of letting go of the reins in regards to preparing their lunch and their snacks. So how do we go about this? Well, we all know what is a healthy lunch, right? We know what that looks like. You got your main meal, you have your vegetables, you have your fruits, and you have your water bottle. That's the general. And you might also offer like a treat, and that's cool too. The main thing is like the fruits and the vegetables, which people find hard to insert into their lunch bags, especially for the vegetables. But if you only have junk and sweets and just snacks and stuff like that, then the less chances of the child putting the good stuff in their bag. Now, if you want them to put the good stuff in the bag, like the fruits and the vegetables, perhaps to support them is to actually prep those types of snacks so it's an easy grab. So, for instance, grabbing a bag of chips or grabbing a bag of like candy or something like that is such an easy thing to do. But getting the vegetables, washing them and peeling them, cutting them and all that, and putting it in a bag or in the appropriate container, that's a lot of steps. So if you want to promote or encourage your kids to have healthier snacks, we might have to change the way we do things and make those healthier snacks more accessible, available, incorporate into their lunch, easy to put inside a Ziploc or a container, and then toss in their bag or place nicely in their lunch bag. You know what I mean? The other thing some children have mentioned, I feel like such a stoolie here, or like a, what do you call that? A snitch, but whatever. I'm telling you what I'm hearing for the past, 4 years of doing this, what children are saying. So there was the trust thing. The kids don't trust what the parents are going to put. So you need to support that. The other thing was a lot of times they would always look at what the other person's eating, and because they never liked what they were eating. And so I would ask, why is it that you never fully finish what you're eating, or you don't like what you eat, and you're always trying to, like, you know, scam on the next person next to you, on your buddy or whatever from across the room? Why is that? And their answer is always like, well, I don't like my lunch. I said, well, who prepares it? And it's always like their grandmother or their dad or their mom or whatever. And they never get what they want. And so I asked them, well, what do you say to your parents? And they say, nothing. I don't say anything to my parents. Or my parents don't ask me, and so I don't say anything. Or they just put whatever they want in my bag and I say nothing. And I find that interesting because I encourage them to speak to their parents or to their grandparents if it's them taking care of their lunches. Like, hey, could we have something else? Like, I also suggest to them, like, hey, maybe preparing the supper or something like that and having that as leftovers would be a good thing, right? So that they can use that supper for the next day's lunch. So I'll ask that, is there a particular supper that you like? And like, yeah, I like macaroni and cheese. I like the lasagna, or I like rice and chicken. And we have that sometimes for supper. Like, so why don't you ask your parents if you can have that? Oh, we never have enough time, or it always gets finished. Well, I said, have the conversation with your parents that you like that. So maybe making more at night so that you can pack for the next day, and it will help them save time because you're going to be the one preparing it, right? Suggest that to them. Now, I'm telling you this now because maybe you are in that situation where you only make enough for supper and that's it. And the next day it's going to be whatever lunch is going to be. So, to help save you some extra brain power of thinking of for them or for you in the morning, why not make extra food at night, a bigger portion, so that it can be brought the next day for your children, not for just like your spouse or something. Okay, next. So in my classroom, I assign sweeping. So before we leave to go outside, I have rules, right? I have rules where before you leave your desk, you need to push in your chair nicely and quietly, and we are assigning sweeping for the classroom. It's either one person sweeps in that whole week and we switch the week after, or it's one different person every single week. I've been doing this now for 3, 4 years, especially with the grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. We're talking about 8 and up. I let them choose at the beginning, the first thing. And it's like a show of hands who wants to do one person every week or a different person every day for sweeping. And whatever the class wants at the beginning, it's a consensus, right? And the reason why I tell them this is like, well, you know what? You all are contributing to the mess. We have to help each other out in cleaning the classroom. So while they do that, I end up cleaning the desks with like a Lysol wipe or something. And sometimes I'll even assign it to other kids if I find them rowdy to help out and clean and wipe the desks with me. I find this a good thing to do. One, it keeps them busy. Two, it keeps them aware and responsible that they're not eating like a mess and making a mess everywhere. They're sharing the space. Someone has to clean this up. Imagine if it was them who had to sweep up and someone was eating all like messy, right? So that's why I do that. So throughout the year, I'll ask questions about what they do at home. How do they help out at home? What are the things that they do? So they give me their 2 cents, either as a group or like one on one. They'll tell me what they do at home and stuff like that. And this was interesting to me, not in regards to chores or something like that, but the reward system. Because we talk about that. I'll ask, like, do you get allowance? Do you get prizes or something like that? Some people will mention it without even me prompting it. So it's a great dialogue that we have. Anyhow, I intentionally asked the question about the rewards and the compensation, quote unquote. If you're not watching me on YouTube, I'm actually doing like these air quotes of compensation for their work. So it was a mix of people getting allowance and other people were just doing it because it has to be done, which is great. You know my opinions about that. And other people, I don't think a lot of them know about rewards in regards to non-monetary ones, right? So I said, interesting. All right. Tell me, what are ideal prizes for you? So I gave a list of stuff. Like, was it more electronics time? Was it more like a yes day? I saw this on Instagram. Parents would allow a yes day. So whatever the kid would want, it was yes, which is fun, funny, and it could end up a little wild, right? Depending, and very expensive too. That's what I mean by wild, expensive. One kid mentioned that, oh, they wouldn't mind as a prize Pokemon cards. And I'm like, totally against that. So if you're listening to this episode with your children, they're probably like, yeah, Pokemon cards. I apologize. One kid said that, and I decided to write it here because maybe other kids do want that, and maybe you're a parent who doesn't mind giving their kids Pokemon cards. All good, all right? Another thing was going out to a restaurant or picking a movie for movie night. And the one thing that I found that was really interesting, if this was your prize, everybody raised their hand. Can you guess? I said, would you rather, whatever the other one was, Pokemon cards or more electronics time, or have your parents play video games with you? Oh, the crowd went wild. The crowd went wild. And then I said, wow, wow. Now, as a parent, and a parent who loves video games too, I love playing video games with my kids. It doesn't happen all the time, but I see the joy and the excitement when the kids are like, oh, mom, you're going to play, or their dad, they call him Baba. So it's like, Baba, you're going to play, you're going to play. And they love it. Now, if you're a parent who's not for video games, and you're like, I can't stand them, I don't understand it, that's okay. The kids find it fun too. I remember when we were growing up and my mom had bought us the Nintendo, I don't even know which one it was, but it was for like 1987. And all the kids had it. And then finally, my mom said, okay, she bought it for us. But by this time, we were teens. Okay. We wanted it before when we were younger, when everybody had it. But now, anyway, she bought it when we were teens. And we were playing Super Mario Brothers. The boyfriends were there. We were playing the games. And anyways, one day I said, Mom, do you want to try? And she just played. It was level 1-1, and she made Mario move from one block to the next, but his leg was hanging off the brick and he was standing completely straight and one leg was almost off and she was dying. She was on the floor. She couldn't believe it. And just that tickled me. And I remember it to this day. So let's do the math, how long that is. Okay. That's a long time ago. And so, yeah, the whole point is play with your kids. That's all they want. And if you're not, like I said, if you're not a video game person, board games. We play board games with our kids a couple of times a month, once, twice a month. I know it should be more, but when we do, it's wild. We've had games that lasted like a full day. We played a while ago. It was the game of life the first time. And it was so interesting to hear their choices, to listen to them like negotiate with each other and just like decide on things. It was just, I don't know, it's one of those moments where you just can't take it back. But like when you're there, it's just beautiful. So all this to say is I gave you some intel What are you going to do about it? I can't wait to find out. So please let me know on Instagram or on Facebook. You can find me at that's number one tidy place on Instagram or on Facebook. And let me know your takeaway from this episode. If you liked it, if you want to try something different, are you inspired now to play a game with your kids this coming weekend? What is it? I would love to know. So that's it for me, this quick episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you want to know more intel, I don't know, about what the kids are thinking about things, let me know. Because I have access to a lot of kids, right? Not just in my classroom, but in the schoolyard. And I love to talk to them and get to know how they think and what they're thinking, and to help even guide them sometimes when they don't know what to say to, obviously, their friends, but maybe even to their parents. Okay. So just so you know, I'm out there. I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for your kids. They're a joy to me. And yeah. So thank you so much for your time today. I hope you got a lot of takeaways and some ideas and some inspiration from it. Yeah. So that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye bye.